Hello, I'm Captain Jack and welcome to the Hangar Bay. On this channel, we take a deep dive into the best starships, technology, and more from your favourite sci-fi universes. Today, we're talking about the BC-304 Daedalus-class in Stargate. The Daedalus-class Battle Cruiser was the most advanced series of vessels in the newly launched human fleet. It combined human technology with alien technology, creating one of the strongest battle cruisers in the known galaxy. Remember, for the latest videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button. While you're watching, comment what you would name a BC-304 Daedalus class. I like the best ones. And if you like supporting our content here on the Hangar Bay, consider hitting that join button to allow us to keep developing these videos. Okay, let's go. The first BC-304 Daedalus class is simply known as the Daedalus, given that it was the first off the line. Placed under the command of Colonel Stephen Caldwell, this BC-304 would find itself taking up the role of supporting the Atlantis expedition in the Pegasus galaxy. This meant routinely travelling between Earth in the Milky Way galaxy and Atlantis, the city of the ancients, in the Pegasus galaxy. This journey between galaxies often lasted 3 weeks each way. However, the Daedalus could sometimes make use of the ancient zero-point modular energy device to allow for more power to the hyperdrive. Daedalus took part in the siege of Atlantis, where it successfully pushed back a Wraith assault on the city. Taking the fight to the alien species, the Daedalus ambushed a Wraith fleet and used its installed Asgard transporter beams to deploy nuclear warheads over to the ships. This attack was limited, with only 2 Wraith hive ships being destroyed before the alien force deployed jamming technology. The Daedalus was routinely involved in ferrying crew and cargo to and from Atlantis. While stationed in orbit above the city, the Starship and its crew would be at the disposal of the Atlantis expedition. Sometimes, this involved simple exploration missions, such as discovering a destroyed ancient Aurora-class warship or evacuating the population of a planet. The Daedalus fell into a trap laid by the Wraith. While Atlantis allied with them, it was eventually broken off as the Wraith hive ships made their way to Earth. The Daedalus was ambushed by the hives, taking minor damage but also launching its F-302 attack wing under the command of Colonel Shepard. Following the disastrous battle, the Daedalus returned to Atlantis where it quickly realised that the hive ships were actually heading for Earth. With Earth unable to send ships of its own to counter the threat, Dr. Elizabeth Weir decides to redeploy the Daedalus, accompanied by the ancient warship Orion, to stop the hive ships before they can reach Earth. Daedalus catches up to the Wraith hive ships in the void and immediately opens fire. The Orion then arrives and manages to destroy one ship, before also being destroyed by firepower from a surviving hive ship. The Daedalus can cause damage to the remaining hive, but it takes even more severe damage itself. With failing life support, the Daedalus crew beam over a retrovirus to the remaining Wraith hive and board the vessel. Following the capture of the hive ship, the Daedalus crew can repair life support, but hyperdrive remains offline. After the ship's hyperdrive is repaired, the Daedalus is carried back to Atlantis in its dart bay. Upon arrival, Daedalus disembarks from the hive ship and lands at Atlantis to begin its extensive repairs to the severely damaged ship. The Battle of Azuras saw the Daedalus, alongside one of her sister ships, the BC-304 Apollo, which we'll talk about in a minute, team up with the Wraith and Traveller forces to combat the Azuran threat. During the battle, the Daedalus operated as the flagship of the combined fleet, with both Colonel Caldwell and Colonel Sam Carter coordinating the fight as well as the ground operations. The mission was a success, with the Azuran fleet and the homeworld being destroyed. During the crusade of a Wraith-turned-human-turned hybrid known as Michael, the Daedalus played a significant role in stopping his plans. At one point, the ship went head-to-head with his cruiser and was able to inflict heavy damage. The human vessel eventually catches up with Michael and his vessel, inflicting severe damage to the Wraith cruiser's hyperdrive systems, managing to stop his escape. While sustaining damage, the Daedalus can complete the mission. The BC-304 was hijacked at one point by the Wraith. During the Terror device conflict, an onboard delegation of Wraith, the Daedalus, was able to stun the crew and seize control of the vessel. The ancient device known as the Terror device was capable of destroying Wraith hive ships and vessels when they entered hyperspace. Due to this, the Wraith known as Todd seized control of the Daedalus and took it to the location of the lab. Unable to use the Daedalus as weapons, the Wraith opted to have the Starship, with the crew still on board, ram the base on the planet. Thankfully, the crew recovered and were able to regain control of the vessel, with a little bit of help from Lieutenant Colonel Shepard. In 2009, the Daedalus went up against a Wraith Super Hive Starship. This was a Wraith hive ship that was upgraded with ancient zero-point modules. The Daedalus ended up having to engage the Starship, even though the vessel was entirely using its Asgard beam weapons, which had been proven quite effective against other Wraith hives, or motherships, and about anything else. It barely scratched the surface of a super hive. As a result, the upgraded hive ship opened fire and caused critical damage to the Daedalus. This attack destroyed hyperdrive control systems, meaning the Daedalus would need to undergo extensive repairs before it could fight again. As the new decade of 2010 came around, the Daedalus remained under the command of Colonel Stephen Caldwell. It would routinely still assist the Atlantis expedition when in the Pegasus Galaxy, as well as assist SG-1 when in the Milky Way Galaxy. The Daedalus also appeared in an alternate reality. This alt-reality Daedalus was commanded by an officer known as Colonel Sobel. This ship possessed an alternate reality drive, which allowed the Starship to shift into parallel universes. The original crew had abandoned the vessel due to the malfunctioning drive. The true origins and fate of this Daedalus class is not really known. The BC-304, known as Odyssey, was the second Daedalus class to roll off the assembly line. Following the loss of the X-303, known as Prometheus, the Odyssey took up the mantle of being Earth's flagship, meaning she was usually around for planetary defense of Earth and the exploration of the Milky Way galaxy. The Odyssey routinely worked with SG-1 on various missions. Odyssey took part in the Battle of P-37-229, aka the Battle of the Supergate, where alongside the Korolev, an Alliance fleet, it combated the Ori warships that came through the Supergate. While able to hold its own, the Odyssey was no match for the power of the Ori and was eventually damaged. Under Emerson's command, the Odyssey withdrew to enact repairs and ensure someone was alive to warn Earth of the Alliance defeat. The ship would recover Colonel Mitchell and Colonel Carter from the battle. Later, in 2006, the Odyssey would ferry SG-1 and resources to the Pegasus Galaxy, as SG-1 wanted to investigate Atlantis in their quest to stop the Ori. While in the Pegasus Galaxy, the Odyssey was investigating a black hole and was forced to perform a slingshot maneuver to escape a Wraith hive ship and complete its mission. The result of this mission was the Ori Supergate, which the Ori forces previously entered the Milky Way galaxy through, being switched off, as well as the destruction of both the Ori warship and a Wraith hive ship. Due to the advanced nature and design of a BC-304 class, it became a target for other factions in the Milky Way galaxy. The Odyssey was investigating reports of another Supergate in the galaxy, but fell into a trap by the Lucian Alliance. While attempting to escape the firepower of 3 Hatok-class vessels, the Odyssey was chased into a minefield and sustained damage, disabling the ship. The Starship was boarded by members of the Lucian Alliance, and the crew was taken hostage. The hijackers attempted to force Colonel Carter to repair the ship, and gun down Colonel Paul Emerson as a warning. Eventually, the ship was recovered by the crew thanks to Colonel Mitchell and Dr. Jackson. With the hyperdrive fixed, the Odyssey departed back to Earth. The mission was overshadowed by the murder of Colonel Emerson, and the fact Earth had now declared war on the Lucian Alliance. The Odyssey was placed under the command of Colonel Ian Davidson, who played a significant role in dealing with Ori forces and the world known as Baal. Major General Henry Landry also took command of the ship to travel to the Asgard homeworld of Aurelia. There, the Asgard species installed their legacy via an advanced computer core on board the Starship. After this, the species committed mass suicide due to nearing extinction. The Odyssey was essentially entrusted with their legacy. Due to the energy readings the Asgard core emitted, the ship had to outrun the Ori forces. There was also some shenanigans with a time dilation at one point. Thankfully, this was resolved, and the Odyssey made it back to Earth with the Asgard computer core. The information learned and the new plasma beam weapons installed on board were soon shared with other Daedalus-class vessels, allowing them to take advantage of the Asgard beam weapons. Odyssey was dispatched under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Cameron Mitchell, an SG-1, to the Alteran home galaxy, in the search for the Ark of Truth. While coming under attack from Ori forces and dealing with an onboard replicator outbreak, the ship was eventually saved when the Ark of Truth revealed the true nature of the Ori to their followers. After this, the Odyssey journeyed home to Earth. The last we knew of the Odyssey was that it was on some secret mission in 2009. This was classified, and other commanders, such as Colonel Stephen Caldwell, were unaware of its actual mission. The third Daedalus-class Battle Cruiser was given to Russia and named the Korolev. This starship was rushed into service due to the US government wanting to maintain control of the Alpha Stargate. While mostly operational, the Korolev was not adequately tested. Colonel Chekhov took command of the starship and headed to Camelot to recover Lieutenant Colonel Cameron Mitchell and Dr. Daniel Jackson. From there, the starship joined the BC-304 Odyssey and an alliance fleet of Asgard, Tok'ra, and Free Jaffa at P3Y-229. Alongside her sister ship, the Odyssey, and the Alliance fleet, the Korolev took part in the Battle of the Supergate as Ori warships came through and began their crusade. While initially able to hold its own, the Korolev was fatally caught between 2 energy beams from 2 Ori warships. This immense power overloaded the Korolev's shields and caused almost instantaneous destruction of the Daedalus class. Thankfully, Colonel Mitchell and Dr. Jackson were able to escape, but Colonel Chekhov died with his crew. 6 other crew members were able to escape using the Asgard beam transporters. Due to its destruction, the Korolev is unique as being the only BC-304 not to be outfitted with the Asgard plasma beam weapons. The Russians were also in no rush to replace the Korolev, both due to the high cost and how short the Korolev actually survived. The USS Apollo was the 4th BC-304. This Daedalus-class was assigned to the 2nd Tactical Wing, and like the Daedalus, was deployed to the Pegasus Galaxy to assist the Atlantis expedition. After the completion of its first Pegasus missions, the Apollo was mainly assigned to Earth, while also assisting Atlantis on occasion. Colonel Ellis was the commanding officer. Before the mission to Atlantis, the Apollo was rushed into service when several Ori warships made their way towards Earth. Thankfully, the Starship never saw combat against the Ori fleet, due to them staying outside the solar system. Apollo's first mission to Atlantis was to deploy a first strike against a species known as the Azurans. These replicators had begun building a fleet of warships to attack Atlantis and others within the Pegasus Galaxy. Under orders from the International Oversight Advisory, the Apollo launched the Horizon weapons platform at Azuras. This effectively nukes the planet to destroy the Azurans' shipbuilding capabilities. The strike is marked as a success. The Azurans tried to attack Atlantis following the attack on their homeworld, and the Daedalus-class Apollo did attempt to defend it. When a Stargate satellite weapon was launched, the Apollo took fire and sustained damage to its shields. The ship later deployed its F-302 wing to assist in moving an asteroid to block the energy beam. Following the departure of the ancient city ship, the Apollo searches for the city and eventually locates it. The Apollo and Daedalus team up for the Battle of the Azuran homeworld, which we covered earlier in the video. Following the destruction of the Azurans, the Apollo returned to Earth, where it assisted the NID in investigating a replicator issue on the planet. This also involved Colonel Shepard and Ronan Dex. The Daedalus-class would then defend Earth alongside Sun Tzu against the Wraith Superhive. While sustaining heavy damage, resulting in the Apollo needing to make a month-long journey to the nearest Stargate, the Starship was presumed repaired and still in service following the battle. The 5th Daedalus-class to enter service was the BC-304 known as the Sun Tzu. This starship was placed under the command of the Chinese. It was in service and active by 2009. Due to not appearing on screen in the Stargate franchise, very little is known about the starship. In-episode information reveals that the Sun Tzu, alongside the BC-304 Apollo, was dispatched to intercept the Wraith Superhive, which was en route to Earth. While both 304s engaged the Superhive, it was with little effect. The Apollo was badly damaged, losing her engines. However, the Sun Tzu sustained the worst damage, with a crippled hull and venting atmosphere. Most of the ship's crew evacuated to the Apollo. It's not quite clear what happened to this Daedalus class. A book titled Stargate Atlantis Legacy Homecoming informs us that this BC-304 remains abandoned in space, being too severely damaged to be repaired. While still not being salvaged, it is possible that the Sun Tzu is damaged beyond repair. This would make it the 2nd BC-304 to be destroyed or not in service, following the Korolev. The latest BC-304 to enter service is the USS George Hammond. While originally intended to be named the USS Phoenix, the BC-304 was eventually renamed to the Hammond to honour the late General George S. Hammond. The Hammond was the 6th BC-304 class of ship to be built, and the 4th under the command of the United States Air Force and Homeworld Command. Colonel Samantha Carter was placed in command of the Hammond. The Hammond was unique in that it was an upgraded version of the base BC-304 model. While still a Daedalus class, the starship featured a more heavily armoured superstructure around the bridge, as well as a larger and wider 302 hangar bay. Taking lessons from the Odyssey and Daedalus, improved reverse thrusters were installed. This made it easier for the Hammond to land in smaller spaces compared to her sister ships. Due to these upgrades, as well as the command style of Colonel Carter, the Wraith considered the Hammond to be deadlier than any other human vessel they had encountered. We don't see much of the Hammond on screen, only appearing in Stargate Universe on small occasions. However, the ship plays a large role in the books of the Stargate franchise. The Hammond goes head-to-head with a Wraith on multiple occasions, becoming the first BC-304 to destroy a Wraith hive ship without using nuclear weapons or Asgard plasma beam weapons. In an alternate timeline, the George Hammond was initially commissioned as the USS Phoenix. The starship was rushed into service as a 6th Daedalus-class warship. It was sent to support the Atlantis expedition in their efforts to repel Michael's assault on the human population of the Pegasus Galaxy. Due to being rushed into service, many systems on board were not finished. As such, Colonel Carter and Dr. Rodney McKay were tasked with ensuring the ship was battle ready. Once she was, Colonel Carter took command of the Phoenix and took the warship into battle with Michael. While effective at destroying the Wraith Hive ships, the success of the Phoenix was ultimately short-lived. While Michael's fleet had sustained heavy losses, an ambush was organised. The Phoenix responded to a distress call, which was fake, resulting in the Starship being ambushed and caught off guard. The Phoenix took heavy damage, losing its Asgard beam weapons almost right away. While conventional weapons were used, the ship's engines were overloaded due to the sustained intensity of the firepower. Colonel Carter ordered the crew to abandon ship, while she stayed on board to ensure everyone got off. In one final effort, Carter set a collision course with one of the Wraith Hives. The Phoenix collided with the Hive ship, resulting in the Daedalus-class's destruction, and the production of a shockwave that took out all the other Hive ships that were in the battle. Thankfully, this alternate future was wiped away, so the George Hammond is the real ship. So that is every Daedalus class in Stargate. Now, did you answer my question from the start of this video? If not, get commenting. Remember, you can support the development of our Sci-Fi Starship videos by becoming a YouTube member of the Hangar Bay channel. Simply click that join button below this video. If you want to continue the Stargate adventures, check out our other videos on the Prometheus, Asgard vessels, and more. That's the end of this video. I've been Captain Jack in the Hangar Bay. Remember, if you're talking about science fiction, we want to hear about it.